Hey everybody, and welcome to the Everything Voiceover Podcast. My name is Justin D. Torres. The Everything Voiceover Podcast is brought to you by the Voice Realm, where only professional voice actors are listed. Alright, today on the podcast we're going to be talking about advice. In particular, I'm naming this podcast Advice on Advice. Now, recently I got a few comments on my YouTube channel on a few videos, and it got me thinking. And this was on one of my, and feel free to go to YouTube and check out Everything Voiceover there. We've got a couple of new videos, including the pay-to-play shootout, which was really well received. And this guy saw my strategies for voices.com, which usually are just get your stuff in on time, make sure that you have a good template, all these little things to try and give you the edge versus, other voice actors. And one of the big ones was just make sure that you get there, make sure that you're in the top 20 because you'll be listened to. And this guy said, you should be teaching people how to get jobs and not how to get listens. And it got me thinking, and I was just kind of floored because, when you're giving advice, you really need to be clear with people that, I want people to know that about what I do and what all the other podcasts and all the coaches in the world are doing. And it's not a guarantee of I'm going to give you the golden ticket to get all the jobs in the world because, anyone who tells you that they can tell you, I can reach out right out into the podcast atmosphere, know exactly who you are and how you sound, and just give you advice without knowing who you are. Anyone who says they can do that is a liar. It's a snake oil salesman. And now there are a few types of advice that people give out, and generally I think it comes out particularly for voice actors. You've got actor/creative advice, you've got strategic advice, and you've got technical advice. Now each of these bits of advice may help you get jobs, and they may not. I'm going to repeat this: no one who has heard you. No one who hasn't heard you or listened to what you do or listened to your audio, who hasn't coached you, can give you any definitive advice that will get you jobs. And sometimes even the people who have coached you can't guarantee you jobs. Just because I work with a casting director and I get coached by them doesn't mean they're going to be like, oh, here's a bunch of jobs that we're going to give you. No one does that. And I'll give you a little story about myself. After I even got an agent, I didn't get a job for 2 years. And I was coached by the best people. And I think that you just have to realize that this is a hard business. It takes time. It takes effort. You have to figure out where your niche is. And all the countless amounts of information out there is just to try and help you figure out what you can do to get sort of edge or feel a little bit better about what you're doing, or maybe be more efficient, And, anyone who says that if you take my class and I'll increase your jobs by 100% is a bald-faced liar. They are just, unless, of course, they're hiring each and every person in their class after the class, which is true, but they can't hire you all the time. I mean, I don't think that's a possibility. Or no one who makes your demo can guarantee that, hey, if you make this demo, I guarantee you will get representation, especially if they've never heard you. Oh my God. You don't know if someone is crazy or if they've got a weird sounding voice, or if they don't even know English. There's no way to know, or they may not be that good at acting. Some people don't understand how to talk on radio or on a microphone at all, and you can't guarantee that to everyone. Unless, of course, that person specifically makes an effort to introduce you to representatives after they've made your demo. No demo person in their right mind or coach in their right mind will say that after this you are guaranteed representation because, let's be honest, their reputation is on the line. And they have no idea who you are. I have no idea who's listening to this. There are hundreds and thousands of people listening to this right now. I can't guarantee any of you will get jobs. I can help you get a formula and get a formula to keep you going. And hopefully as you grow and you evolve, you'll get better at what you do, and hopefully you'll start pulling jobs, and then you'll start doing better and better and better. I mean, I could do that, but, there's no advice that will guarantee. There's no golden ticket out there. There's zero golden tickets. There's people who can help you. There's people who can give you advice. There's people who can coach you. There's people who can give you an edge. There's people who can network you and introduce you. But there's no golden ticket to all the jobs. There's not a font of a million jobs that are just not being done, And now on to the actual advice here. Now would be a good time to say that the Everything Voiceover podcast is brought to you by the Voice Realm, where only professional voice actors are listed. Now, first up, actor advice, the basic stuff like how to slate, maybe slate differently, how to get the first 5 seconds, how to give them something weird to make sure that they remember you, creating characters, how to do a promo voice, how to read a specific audiobook or specific type of audiobook. These types of advice point you in the direction of how it's being done by everyone who's doing it right now. So they're giving you advice saying this is how it's done, this is what people are doing. This if you want to get into that, you're going to have to shoot for something similar to this. Now, these are giving actor strategies that people who are successful use, and they want you to maybe trying to stand out and be yourself is something that will get you to a place where you'll be able to audition more comfortably and be able to do jobs that more suit you. Now, these are mostly based on training and coaching and performance. Those are the types of advice that they'll give you. Now, this will increase your odds of sounding better. Will you get the job? Will you get any jobs? Who knows? Who knows? But this is all just practice to try and get you better at the craft of voice acting. And that's the type of advice that comes with actor or performance advice. Coaches, they're going to try and get you better at the craft of acting. The other kind of advice that's given out is strategic advice. Now, I usually say stuff like audition quickly, market to agents, use this particular pay-to-play site. They do more auditions than the other pay-to-play sites. Take classes with casting directors as opposed to actors, because casting directors can get you jobs, get a website, make a temporary demo if you don't have one, and work towards a demo with a coach you really like who's a casting director that's really good at what they do. Now, these are strategies that will give you the edge against primarily people who don't use those strategies. If you're a person who's using the pay-to-play site, you're going to get more auditions than the person who does not use the pay-to-play site. If you got a person who auditions quickly, they're going to be listened to more than a person who doesn't audition very quickly at all or just waits until midnight to do all their auditions. It just gives you a leg up against the people who don't do it, and this will give you a chance at more auditions. And if you're good, and if you are good, and your studio's good, and then usually more auditions equals more jobs. If you're at a point where you're doing very well and you're getting a certain percentage of jobs, maybe 5% or 3% of jobs, that percentage stays pretty clean if you're auditioning for the same type of job if you keep auditioning for more jobs. So usually more auditions equals more jobs. More listens sometimes equals more jobs too. But if you're not trained, if you have a bad studio, if you have a speech impediment, or if you sound angry with all your auditions because you're not having a good time, or if you sound jilted, you may not get jobs at all. And that sucks, but that's the God's honest truth. You have to realize that every person is different. Your journey is going to be different. Especially, I suggest looking back at the Forge Your Own Path to Voiceover, so you can just start honing in to a direction that you really want. And then you deviate as you go along, but you constantly try and get better at certain things. And that's all. And that's all that we, as people who in the industry give advice, can give you. Is give you strategies, give you tools and tips, and give you things that will give you a leg up, against the competition. Will you beat the competition? There's no way to tell. And now here's the big one, tech advice. Get this mic, get that mic. Use this mastering system for all your audio. Get this preamp, use this editing stuff. Use this editing software. It's much better than the rest. I say that all the time about Reaper. All of these are to get you better than the competition, maybe make the editing faster, make the process quicker so you can do more auditions faster than the next guy. But does a Neumann TLM guarantee a job? No. Does a perfect setup guarantee a job? No, it doesn't guarantee anything. I met this one person a long time ago who was like, I'm getting into voiceover. and then they immediately put in $10,000 to make an entire room with a really high-end Neumann all in the room, just sitting there all ready to go. And then the first thing she was like, now I got to learn how to edit. And I looked at her and I was just like, oh my goodness, I feel so bad. And here's the reason why I feel bad, is because if you're not constantly evolving as you go along, you admittedly, you've got a studio that's ready to go, raring to go for professional work right away. But you don't know how to use it. You haven't been trained by people to do it well. Everything else is amateur except for the studio itself. So what do you think? What do you think if you've got a person who's got a crappy, a person who's got like a junky, blue raspberry, which I have, what I'm using right now, which I love. A person with a blue raspberry who's been doing auditions and coached by people, and he's been doing it for like 3 years, versus this one person with a TLM who's never done anything at all, never edited anything at all. Who's going to get the jobs? Who's going to audition quicker? Who's going to pull the jobs more? And who's going to be and there's another thing, who's going to expect to get the jobs right away? The person on the raspberry might be like, oh, I haven't gotten very many jobs. I got one job this month. It sucks. But the person with this $10,000 thing is going to be like, I haven't gotten a job in 3 months. What's going on? I mean, I did everything right. It's tech does not make you any better. A perfect setup doesn't make you any better. You have to be a well-rounded, especially if you're an in-studio actor, a home studio voice actor. But you have to be a well-rounded, voiceover actor. Now, if this is an in-studio actor type of thing, then you have to take all the classes. You have to meet all the people. You have to do acting. You have to network. You have to have a website. Those kind of things. But there's no one way to get all the jobs. There's no one way. I don't get all the jobs. In conclusion, I want to give you something positive to leave this podcast with. So here is a formula, a time-tested formula that if you stick at it, you will be more successful. And I'm not guaranteeing voiceover, euphoria, and that you'll get the best agents and the world will come to you. I'm not guaranteeing any of that, but I am saying that if you stick with this and you keep sticking with this formula, you'll have a leg up on every single person. All right? And this is the formula. It's patience plus growth plus change over time equals success. Now, this will work with everything that you do, even relationships or those things, or healthiness, fitness, those things. Patience plus growth plus change over time equals success. Number 1, be patient with yourself. Expect to not get anything and everything right for a long time. Expect to feel pain. Expect to suffer. Expect to not do well. Expect to fail, and then get back up. That's what patience is. It's being able to be patient with yourself. Don't get frustrated with yourself, especially if you're doing anything early. You're going to have problems. You're not going to get all the jobs. You're not going to do the right headshot, or you're not going to do the right logo. That's going to happen. That's okay. Be patient with yourself. That's the number 1. Patience, growth. Invest your money, time, and focus into this. Invest everything you can into this. But it's not just money. It's not how much money you throw at it. You got to invest the time. You've got to go to classes. You got to listen to the podcast, look at the books. You've got to audition, to set up your own recording studio. Put some time into it. It's not just about setting up the recording studio. It's spending time editing, spending time getting jobs, practicing on audiobooks, stuff like that, classes, equipment, coaching. It's all investing, and that's to grow. That's to get better. So you got to be patient with yourself. You've got to grow it. So know that you are putting in time, effort, and money and focus all into it. And the other one is change. Learn from your mistakes as you go. As you're growing, change your setup, get better, change it as you go. If you do a crappy class, don't take that class over and over again. Take another class. If you've got a mic that isn't working out for a year, sell it and get a better mic, If a coach is not really good or if a school isn't good, toss it to the curb. Move on to the next one. If you grow out of a pay-to-play site and if you move on and you're like, I don't want to do home studio anymore, I want to do in-studio, then make the change. If you're like, oh, well, e-learning isn't really paying off, but I really love children's books, grow out of it. Make the change. Start taking classes in that direction. Grow, change, evolve. And the last thing is all of that, patience, growth, and change over time. The more time it takes, the better, the more you'll have, the more success you'll have. You've got to have all of that over a longer amount of time. You want to have, the more time you take, the better your career will be. The more time you give to change, the more time you give to grow, the more time you give to learn, the more time you give to focus on certain aspects, the more, some people are very flexible and they're, versatile. Some people are not. Some people are very specific. Both are right. If you limit yourself to pay-to-play sites without taking classes, you're not growing or changing. If you don't get jobs, change things. Take classes, upgrade equipment, get coaching. Figure out what you need to do. And, the change could be, if you're low on cash, the change could be reading and listening to podcasts to try and take those aspects to heart and do that. But that's growing in a certain direction. You have to invest time and money and focus. There's no guarantee for success in voiceover, but there is a formula that provides evolution in the long run, which should lead to improvement. And as you improve, you will change, you will grow, and success may end up being that you don't want to be a voiceover actor. You're like, oh, I've been working on, I'm putting all this patience and time and growth and change, and it's not working out. Maybe I don't want to do this, and that's okay too. But here's a little motivational run for you guys. Be the person who doesn't give up. Be the person who sticks around. Be the voiceover actor that isn't complaining about everything, about how they've got all this stuff and they're not getting any jobs. Be the voiceover actor that isn't envious of other people's stuff. Be the voiceover actor that realizes that every audition is practice and you can learn from everything. Be the voice actor that's giving to other voice actors. Be the person who's helpful to people and doesn't want to be, and isn't trying to hoard all this stuff for themselves. Be the voice actor that's happy to fail. Go into an audition with a huge representative and fail and learn from it. Because if you get started, it's the same thing in any kind of job, any kind of thing. If a person gets success really early and they haven't worked hard for it, once they get to the top, they start getting lazy because they aren't putting in the effort. They're not growing. They're not changing. They just realize that everything was given to them. They don't stay successful. They just kind of fade away or they move on to something else. So with that in mind, be the person who doesn't give up. Go get them. Realize that it's going to take a long time and just keep trudging at it. It's a grind. It's a long grind. But at the end of the grind, you're going to be a person who's sitting in their closet making money while everyone else is out there doing something else to make money. It'll feel good. The first couple of jobs will feel amazing. And then it'll go away. And then you'll wonder where all the other jobs are. And then you'll get some more jobs. And then it'll feel amazing. And then it'll go away. And then you'll get even more jobs. And you'll wonder, why am I not getting the union jobs? And then it'll go away. And then you'll get a couple more union jobs. And you'll realize that, this is awesome. It's the same thing with any kind of success. I'm not saying that it won't be satisfying, but you do have to realize, keep track of where you are and realize how far you've come and be grateful with the how good you're doing. Be grateful that you've put in time and made a decision to achieve a dream, to achieve a goal. Okay? Thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Justin T. Torres. This is the Everything Voiceover Podcast. The Everything Voiceover Podcast is brought to you by the Voice Realm, where only professional voice actors are listed. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a nice day.